My love muffins. This is Reverend Sue from All Paths to God, recording live from my living room. Bears repeating, doesn't it? My love muffins, my love muffins, my love muffins. I missed you last week, though I had a delightful time. I was in the mountains of Tennessee with my siblings, celebrating my sister's 70th birthday, and it was filled with food and golf and fun and laughter. And I very much want to thank Reverend Denise and Sonny and Alice and my friends Maya and Ruby for helping out with my mother and father while I was gone. And I'd like to thank Sherry for taking care of my little kitty while I was gone. It made me have absolutely a carefree vacation. And Maya and Ruby specifically wanted to extend a thanks to our prayer ministry and to all those members of our congregation that have really gone out of their way to reach out and help them during this last month that they've been going through a very difficult time. So thank you on their behalf. Know the truth, and the truth shall set us free. Consciousness creates, thoughts are things. So talk the good talk. Talk the truth. Talk about God. Talk about grace. Talk about good. So in the last two episodes of Talk the Talk, I reviewed affirmative prayer and using positive affirmations. And your mission the last time I left you was to create a designer affirmation for a particular area where you noticed you had a challenge with either negative circumstances, negative thoughts, negative emotions. And to use the NOW method, N-O-W-W. Name it, N, name it. Name the challenge you are facing. O, own it. Know that you are fully responsible and empowered to make a change. Word it, W, N-O-W, word it. Find the right words that fit the corrective idea that you want to plant in your head. And then work it, N-O-W-W. Name it, own it, word it, and work it. And then to keep at it. I know I've been working at it very diligently since I left. And as Reverend Denise said in her sermon last week, during trying times, keep trying. It would be nice if we could make an affirmation of truth, of God's presence and power and grace and good once and for all. But that would be like trying to eat once and for all. It's not something that we can do and just have over. It's something that requires our consistent attention and nurturing. In our spiritual practice, we are constantly reminded that being positive, affirming the positive, is a powerful tool for enabling and increasing the flow of good in our lives. We're also reminded that negative affirmations block that flow. As we say over and over and over again, God never stops the flow of good in our lives. Something gets in its way. Us. And if consciousness creates and thoughts are things, then it's our consciousness that gets in the way. So, what are the times when we are in our own way? When we are in a negative affirmation rut? When, despite our best efforts and intention, we can't seem to shift our thoughts and our emotions from this area of challenge? Well, in general, affirmations are really nothing more than self-talk. And self-talk is something we do naturally throughout every day of our life. It's our internal dialogue, our internal chatter, that endless stream of unspoken thoughts that run through our minds all day. It's our habitual way of thinking about ourselves and others and our lives. And these automatic thoughts can be positive or they can be negative. We either talk ourselves up or we talk ourselves down. As the saying goes, it's one or the other. And the thing that gets in the way of the one, I heard you, is the other. Positive talk. Researchers estimate that we engage in self-talk 50,000 times a day. That's an amazing number, 50,000 times a day. So if consciousness creates, and it does, we want to hear more from our inner cheerleader than our inner critic, because the critic costs us our good. The critic is a block, is an obstacle to the flow of God and grace and good into our lives. Research shows that even self-depreciating humor talks us out of our good, one joke at a time. You know the comments. Comments like, I'm trying to be less down on myself, but I'm really bad at it. Or, I'm trying to be patient with myself, but it's just taking too darn long. Comments that are masked and disguised as humor, as being associated with a positive feeling. And we might be able to fool ourselves, but we can never fool the law of creation. So no matter how we look at it, whether it's our inner critic or whether it's our inner negative comedian, bullying ourselves blocks the flow of our good into our lives. I know since becoming a minister, one of my negative autopilot self-talks is, I'm way too much of a spiritual work in progress to talk to folks about how to work to make progress spiritually. I'm so learning. I'm such a novice. How can I be in a position where I'm preaching, where I'm teaching? It makes me feel inadequate when I rehearse and repeat those thoughts over and over in my head. And I'm sure they contribute to my sermon preparation time taking so long. I'm aware of this, and I know better. But that doesn't automatically translate into my doing better. So my inner critic gets more frustrated, more vocal, and more brutal. I'm sure you all know the experience of relentlessly badgering yourself about your faults, flaws, weaknesses, failures. So what are the times when we are in our own way? When we just can't seem to rally a positive affirmation? When we are in a negative affirmation or a negative feeling rut? I know I've shared some of this information before, but Michael Lerner, who is a PhD psychologist, who runs healing circles for cancer patients, made this profound practice recommendation. He said, stop being negative. Well, doesn't that sound like our Bob Newhart episode with the counseling patient where he just said, stop it? I can help you very easily. 2 words, stop it. S-T-O-P, second word, I-T. He said, stop being negative. The second time. The biggest impediment, he said, to our positivity is we turn against ourselves thinking that negative thoughts, negative feelings are negative. We judge and we criticize them, and then we try to avoid them and control them. And we engage in yet more self-attack because we're not successful at feeling positive at all times, in all situations. The idea that we should keep a positive attitude all the time, he says, is crazy and toxic. It's much healthier to allow ourselves to feel. It's vital information about what's going on inside of us. Esther Hicks says, that's like saying we need to find a way to not feel a hot stove. That there's something wrong with us because we feel it, and we need to not feel it. Nothing's wrong with us because we feel the hot stove, or because we feel frustration, or we feel anger, or we feel anxiety, even though we don't want to feel it. Even though we're aware that this is a block to the flow of God and grace and good. But our belief that there's something wrong with us because we have negative thoughts and we have negative feelings is holding us in that negative affirmation rut, in that negative self-talk rut. Lerner says, positivity, the practice of being positive, does not mean that we don't have negative thoughts and feelings. It means we don't have negative reactions to them. We don't have negative reactions to them. Stop being negative the second time. Well, there's some wisdom. So what of the times when we just can't seem to rally a positive affirmation? When we are stuck in that negative affirmation spot? Well, Michael Lerner has a strategy that he uses to help work us through that, to help move us from that rut place to a place where we can then reach for higher thoughts. He uses the acronym C.A.L.M to describe the process. C.A.L.M, C.A.L.M. First stage, C, curiosity. If we are able to allow our negative thoughts and feelings instead of badger ourselves as if there's something wrong with them, then our job is to want to know more about them, to wonder about them and ask questions about them, to seek some understanding and clarity about why we have them and how they get triggered and what they mean to us, what they're trying to tell us. Calm. C, curiosity. The A is acceptance. Allow the negative thought and feeling. Don't try to avoid it. Don't try to escape it. Don't try to manipulate it and control it. Just let it be. L, C.A.L.M, L, love. Don't judge and criticize and condemn negative thoughts or negative feelings. There's nothing wrong with the thought. There's nothing wrong with the feeling. And there's nothing wrong with us. Curiosity, acceptance, love, and then move. Once we work through these stages, then we can move. We don't have to act the way we feel, but we do have to feel the way we feel. So stop being negative the second time. Be calm instead. C.A.L.M. Be curious, be accepting, be loving, and then move. We do engage in all manners of defeatist and destructive inner dialogue and feelings. In order to reduce the compulsion to get over it already, we need to accept negative thoughts and feelings. Accept thoughts and feelings that we don't like but can't seem to eliminate. If we suppress them, disown, devalue these major parts of ourselves, we feel cut off. We feel alienated from ourselves, no longer comfortable or at home in our own skin. We need to learn to listen to what our thoughts and feelings are trying to tell us, and learn how to use them to guide us. Then we can get back to the practice of wording and working positive affirmations. So if we find we're in a negative affirmation rut, and no matter how hard we try to develop that positive affirmation, we find ourselves going back and just dwelling on and ruminating on the negative. Work these stages. Calm. Be curious. Accept your feelings. Love them. Don't criticize them. Bring love to the situation. And then move. And when we're back to a place where we can shift our focus and our consciousness to positive, and we're wanting to word and work a positive affirmation. Pamela Weintraub, in an article in Psychology Today entitled "The Voice of Reason," gave a major positive affirmation tip. She said that research has indicated that we should use first-person language. Rather than I statements, we should use our personal name. So rather than I am worthy, we should use Sue is worthy. Rather than saying I am at peace, Sue is at peace. Rather than saying Sue is prosperous, I am prosperous, say Sue is prosperous. It enables us to gain psychological distance from this rut of negativity. And it allows us to expand our perspective and think more clearly. When we're stuck in a negative affirmation rut, we have tunnel vision. We can see absolutely nothing else. And I'll tell you where I see this most frequently nowadays as we're moving toward election time is how people talk about this presidential election, regardless of what candidate they're supporting. It's like their vision has narrowed down to this tunnel vision as they are trapped in this negative affirmation rut, representing whatever is their particular belief or opinion. We want to expand out of that. And by using our personal name instead of I statements, we automatically put some depersonalization, some distance between that I statement. It's like we're a third person observer of the situation. And what it does is it alleviates the gravity of the situation. And under those circumstances, we have less of a tendency to dwell on the negative, and we're more likely to talk to ourselves like we were talking to a friend. So, you are adequate to be a minister. Sue, this is Sue's heart. This is Sue's passion. This is Sue's calling. And God flows through Sue. God doesn't call the qualified. God qualifies the called. Sue is qualified by the flow of God through her. Using that first person, as you start to talk it and to say it, it feels almost like you're talking to somebody else because you're using your first name. And when we are talking to someone else, we are so much more gentle. We are not bullies. We are so much kinder and supportive of their particular challenge and their ability and potential and possibility to rise above it. Consciousness creates, thoughts are things. So think the good ones, think the positive ones. But the idea that that means we should keep a positive attitude at all times is crazy and toxic. It makes us believe that there's something wrong with us because we have these negative thoughts or negative feelings. And that belief is what is holding us in the negative affirmation rut. Being positive doesn't mean that we don't have negative thoughts or feelings. It means we don't have negative reactions to them. So your missions, my love muffins, if you so choose to accept it, is stop being negative the second time. Use this method that learner presented to us. Be calm, C.A.L.M. Be curious, accepting, loving, and then move. And when you move to a place where you can word and work positive affirmations, use your name instead of I statements. I miss you and I love you, my friends. I mean, Reverend Sue misses you and Reverend Sue loves you, my friends. We can't go back and make a new start, but we can start now and make a new ending. We are the people. Now is the time, and this is the way. Namaste, my friends.